Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and today's live show was presented by Panda Supps. Use code Raiders for 20% off at pandasupps.com to get your hands on some of the best workout supplements out there. They do just have, by the way, a brand new protein, and if you spend over $125, you're going to get free creatine and free shipping for U.S. domestic. My name is Mitchell Renz. Y'all are watching the Raiders Report. It's Thursday. Appreciate each and every one of y'all for tuning into today's show. I will say this. I just got some major Raiders news right before this live show started. Tomorrow, I'm going to be dropping a video bright and early tomorrow. I plan on getting here to the studio at 7 a.m. Whenever Chugs gets in, let's say 8:30, I'm going to try to get you guys a video, though, bright and early tomorrow on some major breaking news that I got around the Raiders. And I'm not going to get into too much details on it right now because I am also still looking for more information. So if I get any questions around it today, I'm just going to tell you this. You're going to get all the information that you possibly need tomorrow. I didn't want to rush it, and because I didn't want to rush it, I also had a lot to talk about today, so hopefully y'all understand that. But if anybody saw my tweet, if anybody saw my post on Instagram, at MitchellRenz365, you're going to get the big-time Raiders news tomorrow. That's all I'm going to say. To the 200 people here that are in the building right now, if you haven't already, make sure you click that like button, and we're going to talk about a lot of different things on today's show. I want to talk about Justin Simmons. I'm going to kind of outline why I personally believe that the Raiders could potentially sign Simmons this offseason before training camp. I also want to talk about Henry Ruggs again, and to me, the whole Ruggs situation, and all I'm going to ask here from everybody that's tuned into this show, it's June 19th. If you're watching this show on June 19th, to me, in my mind, you're a real one. Real ones to me are family, that is friends. All I ask is that you please, let's keep it civil down in the comments. We're going to have different opinions on NFL stuff. You're going to have different opinions on Raiders. You're going to have different opinions on political and everything that happened, let's just say, with Henry Ruggs. My only ask is this. Just listen to what people have to say. Nobody needs to insult anybody, and I'll give my 2 cents if I get a question today around Ruggs, which I imagine I'm going to get some questions on. I also want to talk about, some potential Raiders draft busts, and that's going to be a segment that I'll get to here in a little bit. But today's show is going to be this. First segment is me going to be illustrating why I think that the Raiders could go out and get Justin Simmons, and I guarantee you this. When you get done watching this show, you're also going to go, yeah, I think that the Raiders could go out and get him. If you want to get your questions, your comments on the show, you got to use hashtag Raiders or Super Chat, and we are going to do a $10 duck race, which it should be no surprise to anybody. The first guy that is getting in our duck race, I see Fabian Moreno, and I also see Richard Black. Shout out to both of y'all for getting in today's duck race. So here is the big question. Should the Raiders go out and sign Justin Simmons? Type S for sign, type P for pass. And I bring this up, and I'll be real, I anticipate that most of the answers here that I'm going to get are S for sign. So if you're the person that's typing S for sign right now, which I see Juan down there below, though actually I see King Shop says pass. If you're typing that S, I want to know what you would offer Simmons. Are you going to offer him $5 million a year? Are you going to offer him 10? Are you going to offer him 15? Are you going to offer him a 2-year deal? I just would like to see what you guys are kind of thinking here. James, I see sign. Billy Davis says sign. Richard Black, what's up, my brother? Slurricane, appreciate you so much for tuning in to today's show. Brian says sign. Though Gary Backus says pass. King Shub says pass. Raider Nation 80 says A. So I don't really know what that is. Or you're spelling ass, which I think is actually what you're doing. I also got my guy Jeremy Chugs here in the building. Chugs, thank you again for getting all the ins and outs tied together. And every time you see all the graphics on today's show, it's because of that guy.
There's going to be a lot of moving parts on today's show. I'm wired because our boss brought in some candy. Got a sugar rush going on, so if you see a lot of changes going on, it's because I'm absolutely wired on freaking sugar right now. Let's go.
See, I'm not a big, I shouldn't say I'm not a big fan, but I think people like the watermelon Sour Patch Kids way more than what I like them. They're good. But to me, I'm really only going to eat that candy if it's around Halloween or if it's 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm banged up a little bit.
Top fruit candies. So we have watermelons. What other fruit would you go over that?
Here's the problem. I'm not like a candy fan in that regard. Love peach rings.
Some strawberries. They have the strawberry sour ones.
See, I like to me, peach rings are probably up there for me for one of my favorites. And then I'd go Sour Patch Kids. Like, in all honesty, besides that, or there is this, it's a Mexican candy. It's probably my favorite type of sweet candy that Alex's mom gets. It's essentially a ball, and it's covered in chamoy, and it's kind of spicy on the outside.
I don't like it.
I gave one to you.
I don't like it.
And when you chew it, it's like this sweet, spicy.
With the mango,
watermelon. There's watermelon. There's a bunch of different flavors. I don't know what they are, but I've only seen them individually wrapped. I am obsessed with them.
Oh, Kurt J.
Absolutely obsessed.
You like Mike and Ike's? You like Mike and Ike's?
Not a big Mike and Ike's fan. Starburst, I can do without. Like Swedish Fish, people love. They're
the back
okay
of
to
your
me.
head looks ridiculous.
What up, Raiders for life? It's my birthday. All I want for my birthday is a big booty Raider for life. Appreciate you tuning in. Happy birthday to you. He wants a Raiders. Let's go OKC Thunder tonight. Good vibes only. What is your prediction? And what is y'all's prediction? Let me know down in the comments section below. Thunder, Pacers, Game 6. Are they going to close it out tonight?
Raiders for life. We got you covered. I think I'm going to do this instead of the birthday song for you. Maybe just a little tune-up for you tonight to get you pumped up. Ready? Mitch, whenever you figure out what I'm doing, I'm going to need you to kind of chime in as well. Ready?
I'll do my best.
Thunder. Na 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 thunder. Na 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 thunder. Na 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 thunder. Let's go.
Come on, man. I'm rooting. I'm not going to lie. I want a Game 7. I really do want a Game 7. I want the Thunder to win it all. I think that's kind of been the team that I've been saying is going to win it all. I do want a Game 7, but if the Oklahoma City Thunder came out with a dub today, is Halliburton okay?
He's hurt.
I was hearing a lot of the NBA guys talk about it today at Chat Sports. Is he playing? Do we know?
He's playing on it, but it's like he has a pulled hamstring, I believe.
Oh, dude. Hammies are a wicked, wicked thing. You know who else is a wicked, wicked thing? Shout out to my guy David Zahn down there in the chat. I see Rebel Montana as well. Though King Shop says that the Pacers are going to get a dub today. King Zay says the Pacers. I see a lot, and I mean a lot of Pacers. Mark Coffey says he's questionable. We'll see, dude. I just want a good basketball game. Though Cullen, who's probably one of the nicest human beings that I've ever met, he was rocking his Thunder stuff today. I want the Thunder to win for Cullen, but I also want the Thunder to lose for Tej. Let's go to Rebel Montana. Raiders news must be GG. What is GG again? I don't remember it.
Good game?
Good game? That's not it. That's what I thought it meant. Than what the Lakers did. I'll say this. The Raiders news that I have tomorrow, it's around a topic that I have discussed multiple times on this show, probably in the last few months, and it is a topic that 100% of Raiders fans are going to be interested in. That's how I'll leave it. And I was kind of told to wait until tomorrow until I got a little bit more information just based on the timing of everything. But I also want people to understand this. I'm not a Raiders beat reporter. I do not do this job to break news. And I think when you look at my track history over the past 7 years of stories that, I think I've actually put my name on. Like Chugs and I were talking about, I remember doing a show that the Raiders are going to cut or trade, Neil Farrell Jr., that the Raiders were going to move on from somebody along the lines of it was Matthew Butler. I talked about Josh McDaniels getting fired. I feel like when we've done stories here on this show, Cliff Kingsbury won it 3 years instead of 2. Like, when we've done breaking news stories, they've all come true. We don't put out breaking news stories often. I probably put out one, maybe 2 times a year. It's because, again, I don't do this for breaking news and, for me giving out stories. When news actually happens, that's when I give my 2 cents, and that's when I give my opinion. I know that I'm not an insider. I have sources, and I have inside sources, just like anybody would who does this job as long as I have. But my Raiders news tomorrow, I promise you to anybody out there, if you bleed silver and black, you're going to want to see it, and I'm going to get you a video bright and early tomorrow. What up, Richard Black? My birthday is today, too. Big 5'2", signed Simmons. It's still above average in veteran presence in the locker room. I'll kind of go through all the reasons again today why I would want the Raiders to go out and get Simmons, and there is something that I was able to dig up that I think is going to be a big reason. And as soon as I say it, that little light bulb's going to go on top of your head. That sounds weird. The little light bulb's going to pop on, and you're going to go, all right, yeah, I can definitely see the Raiders going out and getting them. All right, so since we got 2 birthdays today, Chugs, I'm going to throw out a question out there to the nation, and we can do our own little tuna top 5 today. It is Thursday after all. Best birthday cake.
Oh.
We've talked about birthday cakes in the past. I know your answer for your favorite birthday cake, but let's say it's y'all's birthday, right? Today's Richard's birthday. Today's Raider for Life's birthday. If your significant other or if yourself, you're like, hey, I want to get the birthday cake that I want. What are you going to go out? What are you going to go get? I know your answer.
Yeah.
You're pretty simple, but I sometimes think when you execute simple and then when it means something to you, it just tastes a lot better. To me, I love a good chocolate chip cookie because it's just always hit home. For Chugs, he wants the chocolate frosting and just vanilla, how would you describe it? Yellow cake. Okay.
There's a big difference.
I was going to say, I could picture it just because of how many times we have talked about it.
It's just a classic for me. It's just classic, easy birthday cake.
Dude, Jake Serb, low-key, I love angel food cake.
And it's because whenever I, go out to eat and stuff, me and Danny love getting,
Carrot
desserts
cake,
at restaurants and stuff.
Yeah.
But whenever I'm, at the house or if it's, just my birthday, just that, I'm cool with.
See, to me, I love angel food cake, and it's something my grandmother used to make all the time. A good carrot cake, and I know I might be on the minority of this. If you can make me a good carrot cake, I might take that over anything. And Alex's mom, she just recently, started doing this baking company, and once she starts perfecting some cakes, she can make 5 or 6 of them right now. Dude, really, really well.
She makes fantastic cakes.
Oh, dude, I gained so much weight about 2 months. It was during Easter. She's like, I made 6 cakes. Can you try them for me? And I was like, all right, pull my leg, though I might be gigantic for the wedding. But, dude, a good cake, man, it just hits. It always hits.
It just does.
It always hits. Let's go to another super chat. I see this one's coming in from Richard Hogan. And then I also saw White Hat. As a friendly reminder, every $5 super chat in the month of June, you're going to be entered in for a chance to win and be in our fantasy football league here on the Raiders board. What up, Hogan? Sup, guys? You two have some serious Wayne and Garth vibes going today.
Doodle-doo, 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 swing, swing, swing.
I think that's a huge compliment.
You got me a gun rack. I don't even have a gun.
It's one of the, I don't think people realize how often Chugs and I actually hang out and talk. Outside of work, not too often just because I see him all the time here at the studio. But it was really funny. My dad even, when you were at the wedding, 2 weeks ago at this point, he's
Forever.
like, it's amazing how, in sync we are at times. And I agree with that. I think we're in sync. I think we're the Backstreet Boys.
I looked at Mitch and I go like this, and he goes, I know, the pork belly.
It actually was very good.
Which, I'm not even going to lie, best pork belly I've ever had in my life.
That's so surprising.
It was so good.
I know it was my wedding, but I do actually think that it's probably some of the best food I've ever had at a wedding.
Maybe I was a couple drinks in. Maybe I was a little hot. Yeah. But regardless, it was hitting.
Yeah. It was great. You know what else was hitting?
I slipped him a 5 to make sure that he came to me more often.
Who?
The waiter. The guy who was bringing him around.
Dude, that's wild. You know who else is always about keeping the good vibes going? Night Devil! Bye! He's bringing the energy. I'll tell you this, Night Devil, clearly not an Arkansas baseball fan. What an unbelievable game that was yesterday. Happy birthday. What's up, nation? Chugs, thoughts on Goldberg? Answer that one first. Thoughts on Goldberg?
So Goldberg, a wrestler, came back, and I'll say this, Night Devil, I know he's a little bit before my time, a little bit. He's an older wrestler, and this is kind of his final tour. He's in his 50s, I believe.
Yeah. I remember Goldberg.
The only thing is, I just in my viewing, I don't think he's good. Because all of it, he has no stamina, so all of his matches are 5 to 10 minutes, and they are all just him spearing somebody. It's the same thing every time. So I get it. Like, he's like good on the mic.
Yeah.
He's like a good presence kind of person. But in terms of like actually watching people like wrestling and enjoying, like you've seen matches that I've shown you where like they're like backflipping and doing crazy stuff. He doesn't do any of that.
So he's like the Antonio Pierce of WWE. Can talk, man.
Yeah.
He can talk.
And then he gets in the ring and then he's just like this the entire time where you're just like, wow, that's not even that cool.
Oh, man. Mitch, for tuna time, what are your top 5 movie series? Mine, Underworld, Jurassic Park, John Wick, Oceans, El Mariachi. This is not in order, P.S. What did that bottom part say?
Wrote this before that question, so anything cheesecake.
Ooh.
For his birthday.
Dude, cheesecake? I mean, we had cheesecake at our wedding, and we didn't have a wedding cake. I would say, here's the problem. I actually don't watch too many, like, movie series, but I'll just go with the ones off the top of my head. Number 1 for me is Jurassic Park, just because it's probably my favorite of all time. I love dinosaurs. Next movie series I'll go with, came to my mind, was the Hangover series. I love those. I think that they're absolutely hilarious. I'm going to go with Horrible Bosses is another very good series for me. That's a good one. Oh, man. And then I don't like scary. Though I do appreciate now Harry Potter. One time Alex and we sat down and we watched every single Harry Potter. So I appreciate a good Harry Potter series. And then I don't even know. What is a good series? Those are my top 4 that I have right now. Those are my top 4. Because I'll say this. I've never seen John Wick. I've never seen Underworld. I've never seen any of the oceans besides the Atlantic. Let's go to White Hat. You're up here on today's show. And also, because my guy right there, Fabian Moreno, ended up banging, can you show the deals on today's show? Because I did have a special deal here on today's episode. We always do Friday happy hour. And anytime we do Friday happy hour, we try to get a little bit wet and wild. So here's the deal today. If we get 5 bangs, we already got one from Fabian. I'm going to start tomorrow's show right from the jump. And when you start a Friday happy hour Madden stream with a boot, anything can happen. So if we get 4 more bangs today, I'm going to do a boot to start the show tomorrow for happy hour. Here's the cool part, though. If you want to do an alley-oop, if you don't know what an alley-oop is, let's say Fabian Moreno throws up a 50. If a guy by the name of, David Zahn throws in a 50, that is a bang for Fabian. It is a bang for David Zahn, but it came at half the price. So that right there is a pretty damn good value. So it would count as 1 bang in total, though. But I would give a bang to Zahn, and I'd give a bang to Fabian. So if you guys wanted to do that, it's another way to get in. Reminder, if you're trying to win a little bit of money today, $10 Venmo at MitchellRens365 to get in. And you know what? I haven't done this in a while, but I feel like F it. Let's frickin' do it. I'm going to put Chugs in the race. And if Chugs wins, he wins. It's his money. But I want to see how many people can take down Jeremy Chugs.
J.G. Wentworth race. Style.
877 Chugs now. I don't know. 877 Chugs now. 877 Chugs now. Robert, Joseph, you, sir, are in $10 Venmo.
There's been some confusion the past couple weeks. This is the Venmo right here.
Yep.
Right here. You just got to scan that.
Scan that QR code. Whip out your phone. That's it. It's the only thing you need to whip out. You can hover over the screen right there, and I got you. You can even add me as a friend. I want to know down below, who is the biggest Raiders draft bust since 2019? And one of the segments that we've been doing on a lot of Raiders Report shows recently, and hopefully you guys have been participating, hopefully y'all have been seeing, are our Tuna's Top 5. So what I wanted to do today here during live is I also wanted to do a little segment that we could all have a little bit of fun, interact with. So who's the biggest Raiders draft bust since 2019? I'm going to give some shout-outs to all of y'all, and then I am going to reveal my top 5 Raiders draft bust, though I feel like I could reveal mine maybe a little bit later on. Let's do it after the first segment, if that's cool with y'all. I see Ed Robbins says Damon Arnette.
It reminded me to ask this question because I saw this super chat from Trey Tucker Glazer.
From Seth. What is that, Trey Tucker Glazer? What's crazy is there's multiple.
This is one.
One of my favorite high school pranks that my high school tried to pull off. I don't know how well it was executed. they had 3 sheep. They numbered them 1, 2, and 4. And they always, then the goal was that the teachers would look for the 3rd sheep. I'll be honest, didn't work all that well. Why bring back Ruggs when Trey Tucker is better? I'll say this. I think for anybody that watches this show, I am not somebody that's going to jump on board of the Raiders should bring back Henry Ruggs. If it was up to me, I would not allow Ruggs back in the NFL. Do I believe everybody deserves a second chance? Yes, I actually think that he's getting a second chance by not being behind bars for his entire life. But I'll also say it like this, and I said it, probably a few weeks ago maybe a few months ago when I think a lot more of some Henry Ruggs stuff came out. To me, I don't even feel like it's like a place for me to say whether or not Ruggs could play in the NFL again, right? If the Tinter family is able to forgive Ruggs, then who am I to say that he can't play in the NFL again? If the Tinter family said absolutely not, I don't want him to play, I'll be honest, I'm going to side with them because, they lost their daughter. So we have a quote that I saw around the whole Ruggs situation, which, again, we can bring it up, and I wanted to be able to just, again, this is a show where I really always try to keep it Raiders focused. And yes, I know that Henry Ruggs situation, I still like to think in my mind, is a Raiders focused question. But at the same time, I agree with you. I personally would not bring back Henry Ruggs. I don't think it's a good look for the Raiders. I also don't think it's a good look for the NFL. But at the same time, I do think that he deserves a second chance at life. And if I was Ruggs, I would just focus on, my family. I would focus on other opportunities. But at the same time, if you were to tell any NFL player or former player or anybody in general, hey, you have an opportunity to make millions of dollars, play in the NFL, they're going to take advantage of that. So if it was up to me, though, no, I would not have Ruggs back in the NFL. Holy cow. The Night Devil! Bang! He said Jamarcus Russell, but that means you didn't read the question. Biggest bust since 2019. Jamarcus Russell, thank God, was not drafted in 2019 or else. Dude, I don't even know if I would be there. Oh, man. The Night Devil. Jamarcus Russell. Yeah, the reason why I even said who's the biggest draft bust since 2019 is because I feel like when I ask who's the biggest Raiders draft bust of all time, everybody goes to Jamarcus Russell. It would be like asking a Raiders fan right now, who's the best running back on the team? It's like if 100 out of 100 people don't say Ashton Genty, then you're really questioning what the hell that they're doing. You're definitely questioning what they're doing. But another bang from Fabian Moreno, which actually takes him up now to 23 bangs this month, which is absolutely bananas. And for anybody that's out there that is trying to keep up to date with our June bang race, we got the Night Devil, Fabian Moreno with 23, Mount Raider Moore, Venthrak with 19. He banged more than anybody last year, in fact. Bayou Raider, Patrick Roche, Common Raider are the top 5 right now for our June bang race. And a friendly reminder, whoever bangs the most in the month of June, you are automatically in our Raiders Report Fantasy Football League. So go down to the comment section. I got a question for you. And this is actually a video that Jeremy Chugs and I filmed a little bit earlier on today. So spoiler alert, you're going to get a video around a make or break player for the Raiders over the weekend, or maybe it's going to be on Monday. I haven't decided yet when it's going to go out. But I want to know, name a player that is a make or break. Name a player that is in a make or break season for Las Vegas. So to me, when I think of guys that are a make or break, it's kind of the time to put up or shut up, where one of the first players that comes to my mind, I'll be transparent, is Tyree Wilson. And I saw an article today around Wilson where he was like, I just kind of want to shut people up. There is nothing that would make me more happy if Tyree Wilson could shut up me, and if he could shut up TJ Hannibal, Roger Chandlers, if he could shut up Big Lock, if he could shut up Mark Coffey. And I guarantee you this, everybody that I just shouted out in the chat would be sitting there going, yeah, I hope he does shut me up. Because I think if Tyree Wilson could take that next step, and you get then the Malcolm Kuntz that we had the final few games, with Antonio Pearson, Patrick Graham, and if you get a healthy Christian Wilkins, if you get a Trey Tucker that can take the next step, there are so many other players that I think that you could throw into the mix here that it's make or break time for them. Absolutely, man. Though the whole chat basically from Mark. Yeah, and I agree. And I want people when they watch this show where, in life, I think you got to have the ability to talk about fun stuff when the Raiders are winning and it's all good. I love doing this show. The unfortunate part is, the Raiders haven't won as much. And I know sometimes people think, oh, Mitch, you're negative. I think you just got to have the ability to talk about things that aren't always positive, just like in family. Like if you're a family and you don't sit down and talk about literally everything, the good and the bad, I would recommend that you learn how to do that, and I would, try to convince you to do that. But when it comes to, players that are like right on that, it's time to put up or shut up. And I definitely think, based on what a lot of people are saying down in the chat, Tyree Wilson's got to be one of those guys. But also, a lot of y'all know, like, Tyree Wilson's my dude. And, Tyree and we got a good relationship, and he probably would get a little bit upset, and I don't blame him, right? Like, if Tyree Wilson had a YouTube show and he was out there being like, yo, it's a make or break year for Mitch, I'd be like, damn, Tyree, come on, man.
Can I give you a hot take for this one?
Let's go. What you got?
In terms of, I'm seeing this as a player that is in a make or break season for Las Vegas in that they are going to make or break the Raiders season this year.
Oh, okay. I like it.
And I'm going to look at one player, which, might sound a little crazy at first, but hear me out.
I'm listening.
Max Crosby. In terms of making or breaking this team and this season, I think there's a lot of stuff that's kind of make or break for Crosby this year, right? Like he's been
I actually love that take.
He's been anointed as the face of the Raiders, the guy who's the franchise guy for this team. Who was right there when, Pete Carroll and John Spytek were having their introductory press conference? It was Max Crosby. And he's somebody who a lot of people view as, the building block of this Raiders team. And a lot of the focus has been on the offense. You look at the draft, right? Ginty, you got Besh, you got multiple offensive linemen, You got Dante Thornton. All work on the offensive side, a little less on the defensive side. And I think they're putting that because they think that they have a top edge rusher, a top 3 edge rusher in the entire National Football League in Max Crosby. Now, is he going to prove them right? Is he going to be somebody who still he's chasing the Raiders' single-season sack record? Can he break that? Can he be the best Raiders pass rusher of all time? I think a lot of that is on kind of Max Crosby's shoulders, and obviously we all know he's good, but I think the question is, can he be great or one of the greatest this season? And I think that's kind of a make-or-break year, in my opinion, for Crosby and how this team kind of goes forward.
I think when you look at it like that, like I see some people going, huh, what? It's not like if Max doesn't go out and prove himself this year, he's like in a bad spot. I don't think that's what Chugs is saying. Chugs is saying, like, when you think of Max Crosby, right? Like last season he had 7.5 sacks. He played in only 12 games. He's battled some injuries. He's also, acknowledged that. To me, though, if we can get the Max Crosby that I think if he's fully healthy for 17 games, to me, like that's a guy that's going to get you 16, 17, 18 sacks. Like somebody that I think can live up to 20 sacks. And if Max has that type of year, it can really truly make or break a season for the Las Vegas Raiders. So, to me, in terms of impact, that's also how this question could be looked. If Max is able to go out there and impact the game for the entire season and not let injuries get involved, I think that's going to be a huge, huge plus and a huge, huge win. Obviously, it's not like if Max doesn't show out, it's going to be a bad look for him and for the Raiders. But, Max wants to be the number 1 edge rusher in the NFL. And I don't think if you were to ask many people outside of, the Raiders, is Max a top 3 edge rusher? I actually don't think that he's going to be widely considered a top 3 guy. I don't know if he's considered a top 5 guy by some of the people outside of the NFL. Again, I know what Crosby brings to the table. Chugs knows what Crosby brings to the table. Y'all know what Crosby brings to the table. And I think it's finally like, I just want the whole world to see. But it's I want the whole world to recognize.
But I think it's like, can he have a Aaron Donald type impact? Yeah. Like Aaron Donald had with the Rams, a TJ Watt style impact with the Steelers where he is absolutely game wrecking and in some instances winning games for this team.
Yeah.
And I think that's the expectation for Max. And can he kind of go to that expectation or even exceed it and help the Raiders maybe, shock some people in the AFC?
Absolutely. I completely agree. I got a few people here that are getting in the duck race, which I absolutely love seeing. I got Darth appreciate you getting in. I also see Gary Backus. So right now, the people that I have in, Fabian, Richard Black, Chugs, Robert Joseph, Victor Lobos, Matt Sitter, Richard Kelly, Soldier Man. I'll be real with you. I don't know how to pronounce this name. It is IK Tex, Darth Fatass, and then Gary Backus.
Did somebody send 20?
Yes.
That person said, if you want to give me their name, I guess Keep Cushion Raider said he sent in 2010 for the duck race, and then he wanted 2 entries to the raffle.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, that was the name that I wasn't 100% sure on how to pronounce. So that means it is a $10 Venmo right now, and you would go home with 60 doll hairs a little bit later on today's show. All right, man, we got 420 people tuned in right now to the Raiders Report. If you haven't already, make sure you guys click that like button. And I know I ask a lot of y'all every single day, but guess what? You know, we're just we're a team, we're a channel here, and I ask a lot because I know that you guys can live up to it, but believe it or not, it does help me out, right? Where think of when you leave a like, it's simple as you, I don't know, leaving a $1 tip or something like that at a restaurant.
I mean, a like is just like, I don't know.
Leaving a 5-star review.
Yeah.
I think that that's a good analogy. Now, if you want to leave a 1-star review, I'll give you a company that you can leave a 1-star review for. No, I'm not going to get into that. I will get into this. Patrick Roche! Bang! From the top, Roche!
Roche, Roche, Roche your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream.
I was going to say, I haven't heard that song in a long time. Roche, Roche, Roche your boat. What's our next neediest spot on defense to fill? Maybe Jonathan Abrams, biggest bust? I'll tell you this. Abram is going to make my list. I'm not going to tell you where he's going to make it in my top 5 in terms of biggest Raiders draft bust since 2019. Once I get done with the first segment here on today's show around Justin Simmons, I'll kind of break down my top 5 biggest Raiders busts since 2019. I also picked that date because it's, to me, really, really when I would say I fully just dove into all things Raiders. And it's like 2018 is really when I started doing the show, but 2019 is when Chat Sports and when myself really consider myself, a Raiders fan. And I put a little bit more, effort to make this thing grow, which we're at 195,000 subs now, so I like to think that it worked. Biggest, neediest spot on defense to fill, I really think it's either free safety or it's cornerback. And you might just be able to say secondary, right? Because I do have a lot of confidence in our defensive line. I do think our linebacker room is going to be good enough, and I think it's going to surprise some people with a Landon Roberts, Jermaine Pratt. Hopefully Devin White can go out there and be an athlete. Maybe an Amari Gaynor. We'll see what he's able to contribute. Cody Lindenberg. Tommy Eichenberg is definitely on the roster bubble. But, I like Isaiah Paul-Lamau. He just, to me, is not a free safety. So I want to be able to cover on the back end. And right now, free safety and corner, whether that be nickel or outside, however you want to look at it, but secondary right now, to me, is probably the biggest team need right now for the Silver and Black. Patrick Roche! You're a legend, dude. The third bang on today's show, which now puts Roche at 9 bangs for the month of June. Absolute legend. Let's go to Evil Mitch. Shador, bro, what is he thinking? Wow.
And I actually quote tweeted, if you don't know what he's talking about, Shador was recently pulled over this past week for going over 100 miles per hour. Pretty sure wherever he was, it was not a 100-mile-per-hour speed limit. But yeah.
Is there any place in the world that has a 100 miles per hour speed limit?
The Autobahn.
Well, there's no speed limit.
Exactly.
Though there are some spots on the Autobahn that do have speed limits.
Huh?
That is true.
Maybe 100.
No. I actually don't know. But I do know that there are spots on the Autobahn that has speed limits.
I will say, I quote tweeted it.
At least they did in
fifth round move.
Fifth?
This is a move that a fifth rounder would do.
Oh, I'm like fifth round. I think with the whole Shador situation, it's frustrating because I did actually really think that Shador in the right system could have been a good NFL quarterback, but he's kind of giving me spoiled kid vibes. And I don't really know how else to put it besides that, because when you're somebody that thinks that your shit doesn't stink, and again, if it was just one team saying that Shedeur bombed his interview process, I mean, it's like every NFL team, and the only thing that makes sense is Shedeur interviewed so poorly, and that's why he fell in the draft process.
I was told,
and now he's doing stuff like this. It's frustrating.
I was told by Aaron Wilson that basically, for more or less, the Steelers took him off their draft board because of how bad the interview was with Shedeur and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And to be honest, here at Chat Sports, we heard that they weren't the only team, right? Like, I can remember when we got done doing not me personally, but our Chat Sports team got done doing the Big 12 Pro Day, and a few of the guys came back, and I'm not going to say who's the one that told me this, but he's like, dude, the amount of people that told us how terrible of a human being Shiloh was at that Big 12 Media Day, and the first thing that I thought of was like, man, if Shiloh's acting this way, well, how is Shedeur acting? And then more and more reports just started to come out. I think anybody that roots for a young player to fail, shame on you. And you can like Shedeur, you might not like Shedeur. I don't give a shit what it is. Like, I wanted Shedeur to succeed just because, to me, like, you always want some young player to succeed. And I kind of rooted for him a little bit more because I was like, all right, man, if people are going to pass on you, you're going to go in the 5th round, you're going to go to a horrible organization in the Browns, and you're going to be able to carry that chip on your shoulder. Like, go out and prove to people that they made the wrong choice. And I just think that sometimes guys have a way of finding headlines, and it's just frustrating. Kind of like we were talking about, Damon Arnette earlier, or we were talking about him on the last live show we did. It just seemed like Damon Arnette couldn't keep himself out of trouble. And just some guys just can't keep themselves out of trouble. And it's not people going out trying to get them in trouble. It's just some people have a bad time staying out of trouble because they get themselves in trouble. And right now, Shedeur, he's got to get out of his own way. If he wants to have an NFL career, he's got to get out of his own way. Let's go to Keep Cushion Raider 808. Thank you, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in, and thank you for supporting the show. And we got 411 people here in the building. Thank you guys a lot for hitting that like button. Keep Cushion Raider. Thank you.
I will say, the reason why Mitch is asked the question about the bus earlier, though, and I forgot to pull this up whenever we did.
You're good.
And maybe y'all can give me some advice or some fair warning, because I already had a bunch of Raider fans that popped in my Texans video, because unless you maybe didn't see over the past couple days, 48 hours, the Texans signed former Raiders first-round pick Damon Arnette, who has not played in the NFL since 2022. Last year played with the Houston Roughnecks in the UFL. I did have some people warning me in the chat.
I think Arnette's one of these guys where I'm going to be honest with you. I've heard so many terrible stories about Damon Arnette and about how I don't think he's a good human being. And I get that he had a good UFL season. And to be honest, I hope that he gets his life turned around. I think, again, you always want people to get their life turned around. But also at the same time, I'm not going to buy into Damon Arnette making a return to the NFL. Because he was a player that he was good, and he had a dog mentality at Ohio State. But I definitely think he got covered up at Ohio State just because he had so much talent around him. And then when he got to the NFL, he didn't work hard. And I think the only situation that I have here with Arnette of can it work is, has he separated himself from other people in his life? Because when he was a member of the Raiders, I had multiple Raiders guys tell me, like, honestly, dude, like, you shouldn't say stuff about Arnette. And I had a few Raiders players, talk to me, and they were like, you got to stop saying stuff about Arnette. Like, he's a bad dude, and he knows bad people, and, like, they will do bad things to you. Like, swear to God, grandfather's grave. Like, I had a Raiders player tell me that. And like, when you hear stuff like that, you're like, all right, he's got to get away from, like, those bad people. And I'm not trying to compare Arnette to a murderer, Aaron Hernandez, but if you've watched those documentaries, people used to always say, like, when Aaron was with, like, people that he wasn't supposed to be with, he was that bad guy. When Aaron was around people who were good people, Aaron wasn't the bad person. I think life in general is about who you surround yourself with. So I wish the best for the Texans. I will be real. It's hard for me to root for Arnette based on some of the stories that I've heard. Let's go to Soul Chef. What's up, my man? Not going to lie. I think it's blown out of proportion. Yes, it's dumb, but when I was young, I did 100 on the highway many times. Heck, here in Florida, most are doing 90 plus normally. Typically, young dude mistake. Most here have done the same. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I totally disagree with what you were saying. And I'll also say that life in general is now so much different now compared to, the way it was many years ago.
I will also say there is a difference between, and I'm not saying, he's better than anybody else or saying that, just because you play in the NFL means you're like more important, more superior. But there is a difference between somebody who is in an NFL contract, signed to an NFL team doing these things, than a random, 19-year-old kid. With great power comes great responsibility. We've all heard that line.
Agreed.
And you have great power being on the pedestal of being a professional athlete. And with that power of, being in the limelight, being paid millions of dollars to play a sport, comes responsibility of you can't be as dumb as the average kid because everybody's going to find out and people are going to have, notions around.
I also think in life, timing is everything. And if I was in Shedeur Sanders' shoes, right, and I get it, nobody can be in Shedeur Sanders' shoes besides Shedeur Sanders. However, though, if the past few months would have gone the way that they did for my personal life, I would not give anybody a reason at all to doubt me. Like, I would give people only reasons to believe in me. And I agree with you. This is something that is probably being blown out of proportion, but it's because it's Shedeur Sanders. And, I think it kind of goes back to the little boy who cried wolf's not the right scenario, but it's one of those things where when somebody messes up or when somebody just continuously makes bad decisions, it gets blown out of proportion because you're sitting there going, well, what's he doing, man? Like, get it right, Shedeur. Like this is the time of the offseason. This is the time for him where all he should be doing is making sure that he is only coming up in headlines for the best reasons, because he also knows that people are going to do everything that they possibly can to put him in a headline for the bad reasons. Like, that's where, again, I'm a little bit frustrated with the maturity of Shedeur Sanders. I think that in the right system, he can get it done, and he's shown you that he's able to get better and better and better from Jackson State to Colorado, and I hope that he has a chance because, damn it, I think he's better than Dylan Gabriel. I can't stand Deshaun Watson, quite frankly, and I think for the Cleveland Browns, they went out and they got themselves a quarterback that they know for a fact is going to generate them a lot of money, and maybe it was you draft Shedeur to help replace a little bit of the money that you lost in those guarantees from Deshaun Watson. Bayou Raider! It's Bayou! Are you a Louisiana fan? I gotta know. What's up, Mitch and Chugs? Oh, wait. Yes. Shout out to LSU for making the College World Series final.
Hopefully Trace isn't out there.
Yeah, dude, we were watching that game last night at a nice dinner spot down here in Dallas. And, again, it's a nice dinner spot.
Oh,
so everyone's just...
Sounds great.
Stop. So everyone is just, locked in on their dinner. And we're watching the game. And when everything happened, we were going nuts. And we were actually wondering if we were going to get yelled at by security. But actually, crazy story, I knew the police officer that was working at Nick and Sam's last night, which is a whole nother crazy story. But, dude, I'll tell you what, that was one of the best baseball games I've ever seen. But the shortstop for Arkansas, who I've learned is a Golden Spikes candidate, should have turned a double play.
Yeah.
He should have turned a double play. Ninth inning, runners on, I think it was first and second, one out, ground ball hit to him. If you're that good, it should be just an easy plant, throw it to second, turn two. Instead, he threw it to third, and then it went all downhill from there. You're never alone when you have a fam like this one, where you're always here for you if you're ever struggling, Mitch. How many points
do we need to score this year on average to win on offense?
Oh, man.
I would say the magic number is always
AP said.
Oh, you know what? Actually, I expect.
I expect the defense. We are one bang away from me starting the show tomorrow with a boot.
I would say last year with the defensive expectations, I believe we said 21 points.
24.
I think it's maybe a little higher this year. I would say 27 to average because I think the offense should be a little bit better.
The defense, though, is going to take a step back.
The defense might take a small step back, but that means you got to put up more points.
Yeah. I think a safe number, again, based on averages, if the Raiders can be around 25 points, per game, they are going to have a lot of success this season, just, again, based on points. But if this is a team that's going to compete for a playoff spot, I agree with Chugs. You probably got to be around 26, 27, because I do think that this Raiders defense, if it's the defense that we have right now, if the defensive line is 100% healthy, this defense can be good. If the defensive line can't stay healthy with the players that we have on this roster, I do think that we could run into some issues on the defensive side of the football. Let's go to the real cowboy, 307. The Texans love the Raiders' sloppy seconds.
How many Raiders? I mean, the only one that I can think of that comes to the top of my mind is Shane Leckler.
Shane Leckler.
He punted for the Texans for like 4 seasons after he left the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, off the top of my head right now, I can't think of many guys that were like known Raiders that went to go play with the Houston Texans.
Yeah, I can't think of a lot.
I'll be real, I don't. I mean, unless you're like the Carr family.
Malik Collins.
I remember Malik Collins.
Gary and Conley, real Cowboy said, but he didn't play. He played like 2 games. Mario Edwards Jr., but I will say Mario Edwards Jr. last year had a sneaky great season. He was really good with the Texans.
Yeah, I also, the Malik one was interesting because that was the Raiders brought him over, I think, from the Cowboys. That's when they had Rod Marinelli as the defensive line coach, and that just did not go well. Then, Collins, I mean, how many years did he play in Houston?
Malik Collins only played a year, and then we traded him to the Niners.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say, sloppy seconds, I don't even know if Arnette's seconds.
Didn't y'all sign Matt Schaub?
Did we? Probably. I don't even know.
I thought y'all signed Matt Schaub and then drafted DC.
You know what? I actually think you're right. I don't remember off the top of my head right now.
Denzel Perryman, yeah. Was Danico Autry a Raider?
Schaub played for the Oakland Raiders in 2014. Say that again.
Was Danico Autry a Raider?
Mm-hmm.
He plays for the Texans. He's good.
Yep.
Denzel Perryman did play 1 season for the Texans.
Okay. Perriman, I wish the Raiders could have figured out. Perriman was a fun player. Like, I think for people that like Denzel Perriman, y'all are going to like Landon Roberts.
Carl Joseph, I don't remember if I think the Texans, it was one of those where it's like they signed him and he didn't make the 53-man roster. Like, he was a, vet men type deal guy, and he didn't end up making the roster.
What college Carl Joseph went to? Don't Google it.
I think I know.
Go for it.
Blue Ridge Mountains.
Yep. I believe he was the Raiders' first round
Country roads, take me home to a place I belong, West Virginia.
Keone, Def Halo, Mark Coffey, thank you guys for tuning in.
We're 1 bang away from Mitch starting tomorrow with a boot, but I do have something to show y'all really quick. I have to go get it from my desk. If somebody else bangs, I want to do it for the next bang, but just give me 1 second.
Oh, God. At first, I was like, what the hell are you even talking about? Also, if anybody wants to see something that we got today, which I did not order, I had no idea it was even coming to the studio, but we're starting to try to get this Raiders Report studio all set up here for the regular season. If anybody, and I mean this, if anybody goes to my Instagram, at MitchellRens365, you'll see my Instagram story, and you'll see the new contraption that we got. Though I will say this, that is not what Jeremy is talking about. And I just got to make sure that we're even allowed to put this up on. We're allowed to put that up. Oh, Brett said we're good? All right, cool. Sounds good. Jake Serb, Rebel Montana. I'm telling you this, you are going to make Jeremy's day to the next person that bangs. Or if somebody throws up an alley-oop and somebody finishes it off, giggity, you're going to make Jeremy's day. Because
hell yeah,
I can't even tell you how many times I've heard what you're about to hear.
Oh, yeah.
Can't even tell you how many times I've heard it. Many, many times. So here's what I want to do. We got 2 segments coming up here on today's Raiders Report show. The first one is going to be around Justin Simmons. I'll tell you why I think that the Raiders could go out and they could sign him, because I would say this, and I'm not saying that I've heard it from a source, but I'm sitting up here saying I do really think that the Raiders are interested in Justin Simmons. And then we will get into a mailbag. You can use #Raiders, or you can super chat to skip the line if you're trying to get your questions on air. It's unbelievable, man. Absolutely unbelievable. Bayou Raider! Bang! So he walks in today, and all I hear is bang, 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 bang. Bayou! Dude, I'll tell you this right now. It kind of hypes you up a little bit.
Hell yeah.
If you listen to that and you don't get a little bit hyped up, then I need you to check your pulse.
Oh, we got another one. Richard Black! Bang!
Come on, dude. Richard Black said, I want that boot on Friday. You know, it would be a crazy thing if we did. If we got 4 more bangs, 2 boots to start a Friday happy hour.
A boot race to start the show.
A boot race?
Mm-hmm.
No, we got to think of a way where I get at least a halfway decent head start. What if we did this? First person to do a boot and then do a lap around Chat Sports.
Wait, what?
I'm just kidding. And people are like, I don't know how we'd even see that. I'll be real. I don't even know how. The whole entire Chat Sports boot race tomorrow. You know, what's funny is because of the thing that we got here now at the Raiders Report, we are actually talking about doing a Chat Sports tournament. And I actually think a Chat Sports tournament for the thing that we just got would be electric.
Oh, yeah.
Like if it was teams, right, where we would be the Raiders. Chase and Chip would be the Eagles, let's say. Cullen and Harry are the Bears. And we figure out who's going to win the Super Bowl based on a tournament like that. I think it'd be pretty fun.
I don't hate it.
I think it'd be pretty fun.
All right. And I will say we have a lot of Super Chats, but there are not a lot of Raiders questions in the Super Chats. Like, there's obviously some.
Bayou, even if I was able to use water, Chugs would smoke me. He would smoke me.
So I will say, hashtag Raiders down in the comment section. You still have a shot to get in our mailbag because I'm only going to use Super Chats that ask Raiders questions because we want it to be good content for the audience going out later on.
Yes.
So get those questions in, hashtag Raiders. Any sort of question around the Raiders or the NFL. Either one. You can ask us NFL questions or Raider questions. Whatever you want to ask. Use hashtag Raiders. I'm going to try to pick maybe like half of the questions, hashtag Raiders, and the other half Super Chats.
All right. I like it. Yeah, Bayou. I mean, it's one of those. It would be like you going, well, I could beat Joey Chestnut in a hot dog eating competition if I didn't have to use buns. Here's the thing. You wouldn't. It's like, it's not going to help. It might make you feel better. I actually think it'd be kind of funny one time if we actually tried like...
Sam could probably do it if it was just the wieners.
Dude. Oh, man. Boom, roasted.
Boom, roasted.
Yeah, dude, I'll tell you what. That was Sam... just catching them. So there's no way somebody's going to cut that. There's just not a chance in hell. All right, y'all. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about why I think that the Raiders can go out and sign Justin Simmons. Then we're going to do a mailbag. Then we're going to do the duck race. And I would say today's live show will probably be over in about an hour. That's probably how I'd say. Though, if y'all keep doing some wild and crazy shit, this show might continue. Because Patrick Roche bang from the top Roche. Alex Leatherwood, the biggest bust since 2019. Well, you know what? I'm going to bust out my top 5 biggest Raiders draft busts in 2019 after this first segment around Justin Simmons. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what you guys think of my top 5 biggest Raiders draft busts since 2019. It's going to be elite, man. It's something that I want to try to do a little bit more of, like just do fun little show segments during our live audience. That way it's not just only segments up here. So if there's ever, talking points that you guys want me and Chugs to bring up, please do not be like on a Thursday and a Tuesday show. I don't think people realize how much power they have of what you guys want us to talk about, right? Like if you send in a super chat and you want us to talk about something for 5 to 10 minutes, you can tell us to do it. And I think like that's what I really want at a Tuesdays and Thursdays is just more of the back and forth. Monday, a little bit of Madden, and then Friday is Madden, and we're going to get after it and get the weekend started the right way. Okay, right now as it stands, I just saw somebody ask Mitch, is there a duck race? Yes, there is. Sean Irish, you are in. I also see Patrick Roche, you are in. It is a $10 Venmo right now for an opportunity to go home with $85 here on the Raiders Report. Sauce Castillo, yo, when's the next Madden? Yo, tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you pull up.
Hell
Raiders,
yeah.
Broncos, Thursday Night Football. Raiders, Broncos, Thursday Night Football. It's going to be elite. It's going to be elite. You ready, my man?
One of the primetime games for the Raiders.
One of the primetime games, yeah.
Which
also,
I think
the Raiders didn't have a Thursday night game last season.
Yeah, which I mean, I do think we're in somewhat of a debate of
that's right.
How much of a primetime game is Thursday night? Is it? I would say out of the primetime games, I think
it's the worst.
It is, but it is a primetime game. But I do agree, it's the worst one.
It's the worst one, and I don't know if it's all that close. Like I actually think watching a football game on a Saturday night is better. I love the Raiders Black Friday game. I get that they lost, but I love like being able to watch them on a Friday night. Monday, Sunday, Saturday, Friday, I'd all rather it than Thursday. But also, we get a little bit weird on Thursdays. So, is what it is. All right, y'all, let's get into the first segment here around Justin Simmons. Then we're going to do that mailbag, and we're going to keep on keeping on here. As a friendly reminder, if we get 3 more bangs, that means I got to start tomorrow's show off with a boot race against Chugs. No matter what, I got to start tomorrow's show off with a boot. It's Friday happy hour here on the Raiders Report. 3 more bangs today. Chugs and I start off a happy hour show with a boot race. It's a bad idea. You know what's a good idea? You hitting that like button, you subscribing to the Raiders Report, and you watching this segment around Justin Simmons. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Rentz here, host of the Raiders Report, and I believe that the Las Vegas Raiders could sign free safety Justin Simmons this offseason. And coming up here on today's show, I'm going to tell you why. But before we break all that down, today's show sponsor is Panda Sups, and I got to give a huge shout out to them for helping me get into the best shape of my life during my wedding. And I got my honeymoon coming up here too, but sometimes when we drink some beers, it's not as easy to get it all to go down. So if you want to get started with Panda Sups, use code Raiders for 20% off at pandasups.com. I am not the only one that's going to sit up here and go, I believe that free safety is one of the biggest needs, if not the biggest need, for the Las Vegas Raiders. And I know that John Spytek and I know that Pete Carroll have been really preaching this offseason the word compete. And Pete literally said just a few weeks ago that if we basically have an opportunity to get better, we're going to go out there and we are trying to get better. And I don't think that I'm the only one that says this because I felt the exact same way when the Raiders went out and got Jermaine Pratt. Jermaine Pratt, to me, was the best linebacker and is the best linebacker on this team. And I think if the Silver and Black were to go out and get Justin Simmons, it instantly makes this football team better. So you know what I want to do? Just in case Simmons does ever Google his name, I want him to see this video, and I want him to see that Raider Nation's got his back and wants him in silver and black. So if you want the Raiders to go out and get free safety Justin Simmons, I want you to hit that like button because I'm telling you this. If you go out and you get him, it makes this defense so much better, and I can't emphasize enough of how much better it really does truly make this defense. So coming up here on today's show, I'm going to tell you why Simmons could be an option for the Raiders. And I'm not sitting up here saying that I had a source tell me that the Raiders are interested in Justin Simmons. I'm sitting up here looking at you saying, I would be shocked if the Raiders aren't interested in Justin Simmons based on the information that we have in today's video. Let's go to the first reason why I think that could end up happening. It's a huge team need. I will continuously pound on this table and say that free safety is the Raiders' biggest team need, and we need to make sure that our secondary is very well protected, because I like Isaiah Pola-Mao, and I think that he can be a good safety number 3, and he can be a solid starter. But I really do truly believe that he is more of a strong safety and a little bit less of a free safety. Like, go back and watch the tape on Pola-Mao. He has gotten better and better and better, and I respect the hell out of him for that. What I am a little bit concerned about, though, is we're kind of like throwing him into the fire, and I don't want to ruin the development that he has had as a player, because if he loses his confidence and he loses his swagger, he's going to lose the player that we know and that we love. And I know that the Raiders are trying to replace Trevon Merrick. If you told me which guy has a better opportunity to replace Merrick, is it Justin Simmons, who's basically been better than Merrick his entire career, or Isaiah Pola-Mao? Like, I have upside, and I have hope for Pola-Mao. But to me, you have to make sure that back end of this defense is solidified, and I think Justin Simmons helps you in order to do that. The biggest reason why I think that the Raiders could go out and get Simmons, coaching connection. And you know what? He doesn't only have just one really critical coaching connection to the Las Vegas Raiders. He actually has 2. Let's talk about the first one here. So for those that do not know, Joe Woods is the pass game coordinator and defensive backs coach for the Las Vegas Raiders, who was actually the very first DB coach that Justin Simmons had with the Denver Broncos back in 2015 and 2016. Also, though, Woods was Denver's defensive coordinator from 2017 to 2018. If you haven't picked up on how important coaching connections are to Pete Carroll, to John Spytek, to the Las Vegas Raiders in 2025, then you are definitely not subscribed to the Raiders Report. And quite frankly, I need you to wake up here a little bit and get with the program. The second coaching connection that Simmons has with the Silver and Black is Brian Stark. He was with the Denver Broncos for 13 years from 2012 to 2024. Now, he didn't get that senior director of college scouting role until 2016, which I get it, is after when Denver went out and drafted Justin Simmons. But to me, I'm looking at the fact that the Raiders brought in Brian Stark. They decided to, let Champ Kelly go, who we could all say this. I have the utmost respect for Champ Kelly, and I think he's a hell of an assistant general manager in the NFL. And I'll also say this, though. For the Raiders to move on from Champ and bring in a new guy in Brian Stark, who now is the right-hand man to John Spytek and the new assistant general manager, we're talking about we got a guy in the front office and a guy in our coaching staff that both have a legitimate connection to Justin Simmons. Again, I'm not sitting up here telling you that I had a source tell me, hey, the Raiders are interested in Justin Simmons. I'm simply sitting up here going, well, the Raiders did XYZ this offseason, and I'm putting XYZ together, plus those 2 coaching connections, plus all the other reasons you're going to see here on today's show. And I'm going to say again, I would be shocked if the Raiders aren't interested in signing this man right here. So here's going to be the pinned comment on today's show. I want you to give me a yes, or I want you to give me a no. Would Justin Simmons be the best free safety on the Raiders roster? You're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. While that ad is playing, I want you to scroll on down and give me your answer. My answer coming up here in just a second. Instead of yes, I should say duh, because I do think it is that simple of an answer of a duh. I think Justin Simmons is the best free safety on this squad. And just like we said about guys like Jermaine Pratt, if you feel like that there is a player that instantly makes you better and that instantly could be a starter on your team, I don't see how you're not at least somewhat interested in that. And maybe Simmons is going to wait until training camp because he doesn't feel like he needed to be a part of minicamp, the mandatory, OTAs, mandatory minicamp, and all that type of stuff. But if you're the Raiders, you at least got to be kicking the tires on Simmons and just see if he's interested in being a member of the Silver and Black. Let's go to the next reason here of why I really do think that the Raiders could go out and sign Simmons. He's a reliable veteran. And when we've seen some of the moves that the Raiders have made this offseason, they've had their eyes on a lot of guys that I would consider reliable veterans. And when you see how many games that Simmons has played, he's started at least 12 games every year since 2017. So not only has he shown that he's reliable on the field, he's also shown that he's reliable to, stay on the field. He's played 134 games. And he started 124. Simmons has had at least 2 interceptions in every year of his entire football career. Like, that is a long, long time. Where I think when we talk about some of the best safeties in the NFL over the past decade, I don't know how you don't bring up Justin Simmons' name as being one of the best safeties over the last decade. Tackling numbers is pretty unlucky, but he does a lot of different things. 32 picks, the 71 PBUs. He is that true center fielder that I think that this defense does truly need, and I get it. He's 31. He's about to be 32 years old, and he might not be playing the best football of his career. But I do really think that when you have somebody that has the respect in the locker room and has done it so many times in the NFL, and you combine that with somebody who's a great defensive backs coach in Pete Carroll, and then you combine that with guys like Joe Woods, and then you have the Brian Stark connection, and we have so many young players on this roster. When you have a lot of young players, like I would love for Isaiah Palomar to learn underneath Justin Simmons. And then when you look at his coverage stats from last season, they're really impressive. Quite frankly, actually, that quarterback rating against is one of the better ones he's had in his career. The yards allowed by Simmons is actually the lowest that he's ever allowed in his entire career. So is he getting up there in age? Yes. But you can't say that he's not reliable. And I don't think that you can say that he wouldn't be the best free safety on the Las Vegas Raiders right now. For those three reasons, I think they should go out and get him. But I got two more reasons coming up here in just a moment. I got one reason why you need to be watching this show. It's because we're always down to hook the nation up with a good deal. And I feel like I got a great deal right now thanks to Panda Sups. Use code Raiders for 20% off at pandasups.com. And if you spend over $125, you're going to get free shipping if you live in the U.S., and you're going to get some free creatine. Now, y'all know how much I love the taste and the flavor of Panda Sups protein, and they got some new flavors as well that are going to really knock your socks off, where, quite frankly, kind of feels like a cheat day. So we got peanut butter cookies, chocolate brownie whip, toasted honey graham, 25 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, 100% pure whey isolate with 110 to 120 calories per scoop. And what I love, it's brand new, and when you work out, I'm the type of person where I want to try to get the most out of my workout. So you could treat yourself to the same delicious, high-quality fuel you're obsessed with from Panda Subs, but now in a faster-absorbing, ultra-lean formula that delivers maximum protein with macro-friendly flavor explosions. I don't know if this is true or not, but I like to connect dots, obviously, for anybody that watches the show. I told the owner of Panda Subs, and him and I were talking recently about the wedding. I was talking about my honeymoon. I almost feel like he invented this for me, because this is the perfect protein for what I'm trying to do. Keep some of my muscle, keep my muscle lean, but also shedding some of that fat. Or, to be honest, it's probably Happy Dads and beer at this point. Let's go to another reason here of why I think that the Raiders could go out and get Justin Simmons. So we've talked about team need. We've talked about coaching connections. We've talked about his relationship and his ability to stay on the field and what that could mean for some of these younger players. AFC West experience. And it might be a little bit of a cherry on top, I'm not going to lie to you, but one person that really, truly values AFC West experience that is a part of this organization, his name is Mark Davis, and he is the owner of the Raiders, in case you didn't know. He played 8 years in the AFC West, and for Simmons, I don't think it's one of those things where the Raiders are worried about angering Mark, because Mark has the full utmost trust in this regime and in the guys that are right now around him to make the right decisions, because they've been making the right decisions all along. But I also think that there's always part of that where if you could do a little thing that just makes your boss a little bit happy, makes the guy that owns the team that is going to be on board with it. Mark Davis, I'm telling you right now, with open arms, with the amount of time that Simmons has played in the AFC West, Mark does really, truly value that kind of stuff. And I know a lot of these old school coaches do too, because there is a different feel when you know your division rivals and when you know those teams that you're going up against, because you play those teams 6 times in the year. That's a very valuable thing. Again, cherry on top. Let's go to the final reason here is they got the money to do it. $36.2 million in salary cap space, the 5th most in the NFL. So why do I think that the Raiders could go out and get Justin Simmons? Right now, free safety to me is the biggest team need for this organization. They got the coaching connections in Joe Woods and also Brian Stark. He's a reliable veteran that has played multiple seasons, and he's been a phenomenal player over the past decade. He's got a lot of AFC West experience, which Mark Davis values, and we have the money to go out and do it. So quite frankly, I don't understand how, and I don't understand why Justin Simmons isn't being talked about a little bit more, because if it was up to me, I would pick up the phone, I would call Simmons' agent, and I go, what is it going to take to get you into silver and black? Because I don't think it's going to cost you as much money as what people think. If Jair Alexander is out there on the open market getting $6 million to go to the Ravens, I get it, different position, a little bit of a different situation in general. Justin Simmons can help this football team win. And if we're sitting up here going, just win, baby, well, a good way to just win, baby, is go out and sign Justin Simmons. If you made it this far in the video and you agree with that, share it. I mean it. I think one of the things that we could do a better job here, myself included as the Raiders Report host, is asking for help and getting the word out there. So if you're a believer that you want Justin Simmons and he could be a better member here of this team and he's going to make this Raiders football team better, click that share button, tag me on Instagram, tag me on Twitter at MitchellRents365. But at the end of the day, I care about winning football games. And Justin Simmons, I don't give a shit what anybody says, will help the Raiders win football games this season.
So I wanted to ask a question because we've been talking about the fantasy football and like talking about the fantasy football league.
Yep.
And all these people are, trying to get raffle tickets to be a part of the Raiders Report Fantasy Football League. So I want you to put your fantasy football hat on for a second. I want you to name a breakout player this year in fantasy, not on the Raiders, that you think is going to surprise a lot of people. Somebody maybe, I don't know if you want to give away too much intel because you're going to be maybe playing some fantasy football with some of the people in the chat, but let me know down below in the chat, and Mitch, let me know somebody who you think could break out this year in terms of fantasy football.
So I'll say this. I'll always say that breakout guys, it can't be first-year players, okay? Cannot do first-name players. Not first-name. Can't do rookies. Let me look here. All right, you know what? I'm going to go with one from one of my buddies here. He's one of the best in the biz for fantasy football. I'm going to go with Rome Odunze. And I think Rome Odunze could be a sneaky option where Ben Johnson, I think we all knew, is a really good guy that's drawing up plays. And Odunze was a first-round pick in last year's draft. No more Keenan Allen there. And I think DJ Moore is a very good receiver. But I'm curious of how well DJ Moore is going to fit with somebody like Caleb Williams, where I think Odunze can be a little bit more of that field stretcher, all-around polished receiver. They have a better offensive line. So I think Rome Odunze could be a guy that could potentially really truly break out this upcoming season. I'll go. Do I go? I don't even know. Quarterback to me, I don't think I should do that. Running back, man, you got one?
So I'll read some from the chat for you. Bucky Irving, which
I like that one.
He's somebody who kind of semi broke out last year, but I could see definitely you saying that maybe Bucky Irving, a top 5 guy in fantasy, that would be a breakout. I see Marvin Harrison Jr. multiple times with the Arizona Cardinals. What do you think about Marvin Harrison with Kyler Murray?
That's a really good one.
Had a disappointing year one rookie season.
He absolutely had a disappointing season.
For being a top 5 pick, it was a disappointment.
Agreed.
I see Nico Collins in there. I see Cam Ward. I see a couple rookies in there. I see
Nick
Omarion
Chubb,
Hampton.
He's kind of already broke out a little bit.
Well, and in terms of fantasy, I think in terms of if we're just talking about breakout, have a good year, I think Nick Chubb will. I think he'll get probably 400, 500 yards. But in terms of fantasy, he's not somebody that you're going to want to start unless Mixon gets hurt.
Sure. I think if Mixon gets hurt, then it's anybody's game, honestly.
Scheffler is saying Michael Mayer.
Again, fantasy football, right? Where Mayer, to me, if he gets say 40 catches, 400 yards, and 5 touchdowns, that's a great season for Michael Mayer.
What do you think about Bryce Young?
Oh, man. In a 2 QB league, you might be able to convince me that he's somebody to consider, but I think it'd be hard for me to draft him. To me, the rookie quarterback that I think could break out is Caleb.
These are some good names here. From Captain Seaport's Keon Coleman, wide receiver in Buffalo.
Second year, I like that name a lot.
And then I see Drake May, quarterback from New England. You add Stephon Diggs. You add some more talent in the draft with Kyle Williams.
True. True. I actually kind of forgot about Kyle Williams.
Also, Blinky, that's actually a good one because of the injury to Jonathan Brooks, Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah, Brooks, running back from Texas. I forget when they drafted him, second round, I think is when it was. And he's already out. He's already out
2 years ago.
Yeah.
And he missed all of his rookie season, and then last year he only played half the year. And then this offseason, before it even started. This is another good one. Ricky Pearsall from the 49ers. They traded Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk.
He's hurt this offseason already, though.
Yeah.
I mean, if you told me Pearsall can stay 100% healthy, then yeah, I see him getting 120 targets.
Yeah.
But
another sneaky one, depending on how kind of the depth chart lays out. I kind of like Christian Kirk.
Dude, I don't know.
Maybe that's just my goggles. James K said, and I don't know if Mitch could do this just because of like personal reasons. He said, "How do you feel about Devontae Adams in fantasy?"
Definitely not breakout candidate. I mean,
yeah, if somebody's been an All-Pro and like a top receiver, but maybe
I think
a comeback.
He could be a good comeback player. I think Tay, though, is always going to be overdrafted compared to his value.
Yeah.
Because that name value, like people are going to look at the Devontae Adams name and they're going to connect it with, Cooper Kupp's not there anymore. I'm not sitting up here saying that it's impossible for Tay to get back to being like one of these, top 10 wide receivers. I don't think it's impossible at all. But I think for actually anybody that watched him last year, whether you watched him at the Jets or whether you watched him for the Raiders, he did lose a step. And again, it's not a knock on Tay. He's over 30. He's 30, 31 years old right now. Got to learn a brand new system. But I also think that the Rams do a good job, spreading the love from time to time.
Malik Neighbors is a good one.
I just don't love the quarterback play there.
Russell Wilson, yeah.
I don't love the quarterback play.
Ray Davis, the backup running back for the Bills. I know James Cook, there's a whole situation there with his contract. He wants a new contract. Buffalo doesn't really want to pay him.
Yeah.
Do they try to soft launch Ray Davis as the new RB1 throughout this year? I also do like, and I actually want to ask you this question as well. The tight ends in fantasy. Yeah. It's usually the past 3 or 4 years it's been easy. It's been Travis Kelce or George Kittle. Do we see that this year? Or do you see a new 1-2 punch at the tight end spot? Maybe with McBride.
Bowers to me has to be the number one tight end in fantasy football. I don't know how you don't put him at number one coming off the year that he had with the quarterback play that he had. Yeah, I would also say like Sam Laporta's got to be up there very high. McBride's got to be up there very high. Hawkinson, I think Hawkinson could struggle a little bit, but then again,
my hot take, I think you're right that Bowers, barring injury, should be and probably will be the number one fantasy tight end in the NFL this year.
I have my answer, who I think could be a sneaky sleeper.
I think this guy will be number 2 behind him, and he's a sneaky sleeper in my opinion. I think we both say it on 3. Ready?
Well, I don't think he's going to be number 2. I think that this guy is a sneaky guy, though.
Okay. Well, you say him, and I'll say who I think is going to be number 2. All
right.
3, 2, 1. Isaiah Likely. Who'd you say?
Evan Ingram.
Oh.
Evan Ingram with the Denver Broncos. I hate to admit it, but if we're talking fantasy, Bo Nix loves to check it down.
I think Isaiah Likely.
Really?
Mark Andrews, it's already kind of like
it's a weird situation.
There's been a bunch of trade rumors, and obviously a lot of them are rumors. But if there's that much going on, I do feel like there's a little bit of smoke. Where there's smoke, there's fire, and I do feel like there's a little bit of smoke there.
What about Kyle Pitts with Atlanta? We're over it.
Yeah,
I'm looking right now.
I believe it when I see it.
I hear you. I'm looking at tight end rankings and stuff. He's pretty far down there.
Robert said J.J. McCarthy. Do you count him because he didn't play last year? Technically not a rookie.
I just don't think he's going to break out. I'm not the biggest McCarthy fan, if you will. I think he's good football player, good guy. Fantasy, no chance.
He's going to suck.
You want to know a really good quarterback to take in fantasy? Justin Fields. And it's because he's going to run a shit ton. And they have to play him because he's basically got that 1-year prove-it deal. He's going to run the football a ton.
All right.
He's going to get 1,000 rushing yards. That's the top 10 quarterback.
Fantasy football, I have these 3 names. They're left on the board, and they're the top, I would say maybe top 3 names left on the board. Who are you choosing from these 3? Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield, C.J. Stroud in fantasy.
Fantasy, Baker Mayfield, not close.
Really?
I just think, like, Baker, like, that offense, they're going to try to push the football. I mean, they brought back Godwin. They got Mike Evans. Like, Baker also threw for 40 touchdowns last season. Like, they're going to throw the football a ton.
Yeah.
C.J. Stroud, to me, he's got to have a bounce-back year in all honesty, but they also like to run the football with Mixon. And I'm not saying that the Bucs don't. The Bucs still like to run the football as well. But I also think, like, one of the things you got to look at in fantasy is I think the Texans are going to be in a lot more games where, not that they're going to be able to coast being in that weak division, but I do think you might be able to coast a little bit more in certain games where I think Tampa Bay, they have to be able to put up points, and they're going to have to continue to push the ball down the field. I like Goff, but he's clearly number 3 out of that group for me. I would say Baker would be number 1 for me out of that list, and then I would put Stroud, and then I'd probably go with Mr. Goff. Because he's also losing his OC. Like, losing Ben Johnson, I can't wait to see what Detroit looks like this season. And it's not that I believe in Dan Campbell, but I do think, like, this is a big prove-it year for Campbell. Like, can he still win without Aaron Glenn? Can he still win without Ben Johnson? Those are going to be major question marks, no doubt about it. All right, I want to get into a Raiders Report mailbag, or actually, let's get into the 2019 draft bust discussion here on the Raiders Report. We got 411 people tuning in right now. Huge shout out to all y'all. If you haven't yet, make sure you click that like button. If you're trying to get in for a chance to win a little bit of money, the last name that I saw was Patrick Roche, but now I see Blaine Craig. I got you in. Luis Rod, I got you in. Anthony Green, you in. Amy, in. Richard, in. Soldier Man, in. And then Ron Raspberry.
4 letters, 1 word.
You in. $10 Venmo for a chance to win $120 here on today's Raiders
this is a pretty good question.
Episode. What do we got?
This one coming in from Rebel Montana. He just super chatted.
What up, Reb?
He wants to know who in chat sports would have a breakout year. Marsh?
All right, I'm not saying this as, like, I hope other people don't get offended by me not putting them in my breakout year candidates. I'll go.
Let's do channels. Breakout channels.
Breakout channels. So channels that are going to take that next step. I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens with Joey Peterson. I'll go with Washington Commanders with whoever. That channel's done really well. That channel's done well. That one's done well. That one's done well. I'm going to hope that our Bengals channel gets going. Oh, man. What about you? Who are you thinking?
I would say Red Sox.
I love it.
Another one that I could see pop off this year.
Mavs.
No.
They get Cooper Flagg. The fan base is back in.
We're back.
We're so back.
I think Patriots could have a little bump because I think they could surprise people and be a little bit of a better team this year with Mike Vrabel.
I'm literally
year 2
sitting
with
here
Drake
going,
May.
like, what channels do we have? Let me look here real quick. Interesting. That's a good one. All right, you know what? What I'm going to go with? Buffalo Bills. Our Bills channel. It's only got 4,800 subs. I think that gets to 20,000 by this time next year.
20K?
Let's get to 20K.
Hell yeah.
Let's get a little rambunctious. Actually, you know what's another channel I think is going to break out? I think Texans does. I think you're going to have...
Correct answer. I've been waiting for you to say it the whole time.
Well, you're going to do watch parties for every game this year, so that'll help out. I mean, you're gonna run out of battery or whatever the hell that is. I don't know what that thing is charged on, but you're going to run out of battery.
Power of laughter.
The power of laughter.
All right, so we wanted to go back to
The
this
Damon
question.
Arnette, biggest Raiders draft bust since 2019. What I'm going to do here on the show is I'm going to break down the top 5 I would say have been the biggest bust for the silver and black. I wanted that reveal, not a big deal. Just next time if we do it, let's do reveal.
Oh, you want it?
It's fine. It's not that big of a deal. So my top 5 biggest Raiders draft busts since 2019. And let me, go through and I'll explain why each one is ranked the way that it is. Coming in here at number 5, I am going to put Tyree Wilson on this list, and it's because he was drafted at number 7 overall. I get it. Do I think that Tyree is a bust at this current moment? I would say that he has been a bust. I also thought about putting Henry Ruggs on this list, but some people would argue that Ruggs wasn't a bust because of the whole situation, though I could still say his first year in the NFL, he didn't quite live up to the hype, and I would say he was a bust. But let's just say Tyree Wilson. Coming in here at number 4, I'm going to put in Jonathan Abram. He was drafted 27th overall and was not a good player for this team. Got some work in, a few years. Missed, I want to say, most of his rookie season with that injury. But Damon Arnette, he's got to be on here. He was drafted number 19 overall. He played basically only 1 year for this team. Alex Leatherwood basically only played 1 year for this team, drafted at number 17. And I know that Cleveland Ferrell played for the Raiders for multiple seasons and is still in the league, but they drafted him at number 4 overall. Because of the draft at number 4, that weighed a little bit more heavy to me. And I know Clee is an outstanding human being. I've heard it from multiple Raiders guys. But to me, I would say the biggest draft bust since 2019, I think it's got to be Cleveland Ferrell just because, again, you drafted him at number 4 overall. But Alex Leatherwood, Damon Arnette, Jonathan Abram, lot of rough names in there. Quite frankly, I could have probably done 20 names, and y'all would have been like, oh, yeah, like that guy was bad. Like Trevon Mullen. I think Mullen was a bit of a bust. Lynn Bowden Jr. I think he was a bust. Multiple names that we could have just kept on keeping it rolling with, man. Keeping it rolling with. Perfect list, Mitch. Arnette, Leatherwood, the worst. Well, I guess it's not perfect then.
Yeah, perfect.
It's perfect, but I would change this. Is basically what I just heard. Nah, it's all good. Hey, anytime you guys want to bust my balls, giggity, I'm totally down for them to be busted. You ready to get into a mailbag here on the Raiders Report? I don't know about y'all. I'm ready to get this thing going. I should also mention, yet again, we are 3 bangs away from Chugs and I starting off tomorrow's show with a boot race. I already have to start tomorrow's show off no matter what with a boot. Tomorrow is Raiders Friday happy hour, so please keep that in mind if you are not over the age of 21. Not that you can't watch, just go get some water or something, get a root beer. If you are a parent and you're like, I don't want my kid to be around that, I'm not going to get mad at you for that. I'm just going to let you guys know ahead of time that on Fridays, during the off season, we get wet, we get rowdy, we have a good time. Suavemente, you, sir, are getting in the duck race. Suavemente. Ba, ba, ba.
I will say there are definitely more spots in the mailbag if you're trying to get a question in. Hashtag Raiders. You don't have to super chat. Hashtag Raiders to get in if you want your question answered. Like I said, still some spots available. So if you have a good question either around the Raiders or just the NFL in general, get your questions in. Hashtag Raiders in the comment section.
Please, and please. Would greatly appreciate it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to get into this mailbag here. I'll answer questions for probably about 15 minutes or so. Hashtag Raiders, super chat. That's how we're going to do it. And if you want to get a question in, I just saw Die Hard Raider, the Ruggs one. Do you want to put that? Are you okay with that? Or okay. Again, like I'm gonna give my 2 cents to the best of my ability, y'all. So just bear with me. But you ready? You ready? Coming up, let's talk about a Raiders mailbag here on the Raiders Report. It's mailbag time here on the Raiders Report. I'm Mitchell Renz. You're watching the Raiders Report, and every question that we're getting here on today's show came in while we went live on June 19th. So if anything changes from that time, don't yell at me. I'm just letting you know ahead of time. If you're trying to get some new workout supplements, code Raiders, 20% off at pandasubs.com. If you spend over $125, you're going to get free creatine and free U.S. shipping, so just please keep that in mind. Every question that you're about to see here was from that live show that I just discussed on June 19th, and also every question is from a subscriber on the Raiders Report. Let's go to the first one, and it's a big one. It's a bang from Mr. Roche. Alex Leatherwood, biggest bust since 2019. Personally, I put Leatherwood up there as the second biggest bust. I would say Cleveland Furl was a bigger one simply because he was drafted at number 4, and I get it. Furl played for a little bit longer in the NFL and played a little bit longer for the Raiders, but I do think when you're drafted at 4 compared to when you're drafted at 17, you're just expected to contribute a little bit more, and because there were so many other players that the Raiders should have drafted ahead of him, like, I don't know, Brian Burns, that one stings a little bit. Let's go to Evil Mitch. What up, man? Shador, bro. What is he thinking? Wow. Yeah, Shador got caught going over the speed limit. He was driving fast. I'll just say this. I think I'm frustrated with Sanders because I want Shador to succeed in the NFL. I really do. And I wish he would kind of take what happened from the draft process, from being selected in the 5th round, and kind of would carry that with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. And he's just giving me, like, spoiled brat vibes this entire offseason. And I don't really know how else to put it besides that. Do I think the story itself probably got blown out of the water a little bit? Yeah. But as Chugs and I have said, when you are a player and you have that media attention, you're going to be under a microscope. And when you're under a microscope, it does mean more dollars. And I just wish he would just smarten up, Shador. I just want you to smarten up a little bit. Let's go to Richard Black here. My birthday is today, too. Big 52. Go out, sign Simmons. Still above average and veteran presence in the locker room. I completely agree. I did a show. For those of you that are watching, you can go check it out. It's going to be released on Thursday of why I think that the Raiders should go out and get Justin Simmons. He's got coaching connections. We have the money to do it. He can still play at a reliable high, rate. Was good last season, and he is the best free safety on this team. For that reason, let's go out and get him. Got a question coming in here from Die Hard Raider. Mitch, Henry Ruggs said he would want to come back to the Raiders. What do you think? I knew today that I was going to get a Henry Ruggs question. So I already went ahead and I told Chugs, please get me the quotes. That way everybody could see the quotes around Henry Ruggs. I'll show you those here in just a moment, and I'll give you my answer on this if you didn't watch our live show before. Should the Raiders sign Henry Ruggs? Give me a yes, give me a no. My answer is going to be coming up right here after this YouTube ad break. So here's what Henry Ruggs said publicly on June 17th, and I'm going to go through this quote, and then I will give you my answer. I wish I could turn back the hands of time. I would love for them to meet the real Henry Ruggs and not the one that was escaping from something. I sincerely apologize for not only being a part of the situation, but the fact that my face is always in the news. My face is always in the newspaper, so that have to constantly be reminded of the situation and be reminded of me, and see those memories have to continue to rise because of all the fan base and all the notoriety that I have, which I've never even asked for, I've never liked. I would just tell them that I am deeply apologized for just being a part of that, and I wish they could meet the real Henry Ruggs and not the one who was just running away from everything. So that's what Henry Ruggs had to say in regards to if he could talk to the Tinter family. I'll just say this in regards to Ruggs, and my stance does not change on this. And for me personally, I can never root for Henry Ruggs. If you guys want to root for him, I'm not going to get mad at you for that. Do I think that people deserve a second chance? Obviously I do. But I think Henry Ruggs not spending life behind bars is his second chance. I think if he does get an opportunity to play in the NFL, if it was up to me, I think he should have to donate some of his game checks to the Tinter family. But my number one stance is this. If the Tinter family has forgiven Henry Ruggs, who the F am I to say that he doesn't deserve to get another shot in the NFL? And who am I to say that he doesn't deserve a shot for the Raiders? I would be disappointed in the Raiders if they honestly brought him back, because I just think it's not a good look for this organization. And I think it's a bad look for the NFL. But at the same time, if the Tinter family has said, no, we haven't forgiven him, and based on what Ruggs kind of said there in that quote, doesn't really sound like they have had any communication. And I don't blame the family, because I wouldn't want to have any communication with them either. So if the family has forgiven him, I'm okay with him getting another shot. If the family hasn't forgiven him, then yeah, I don't think he deserves to play in the NFL again. Let's go to Steven Stottgarten. You're next up here on the show. I hope we extend the contracts from Jacoby and Miller before training camp. Yeah, I hope so too. I saw a few guys, I don't remember if it was Carpenter or Bonsignor or one of the Raiders beat writers, was kind of making it seem like the Raiders fans should be worried about Colt Miller not getting an extension yet. I'm going to be honest with you. I am not worried in the slightest, and I don't want to say that Colton's not either, but I think Colton's just really confident in his own ability. He's confident that this organization is going to do right by him. But I was hoping that this deal would have been done, and both of these deals would have been done by mandatory minicamp. I think at this point, you got to hope that it's done by training camp, and I just hope that the Raiders do right by both of those players. But here's the other part. If Miller and Jacoby are willing to play on those one-year deals because they know that they're going to get paid, and maybe they're thinking, hey, I could hit the open market for the final time in my career, and I could get more money. I think it's an interesting situation, but if it was up to me, I would want to tie those guys with Pete Carroll, John Spytek, Max Crosby, Adam Butler, Geno Smith. Let's go to Freddie Roybal. Did the Ravens get better signing Alexander? Absolutely, they did. And I think a team like the Baltimore Ravens is smart to go out and get Jair. You got to give a lot of credit to the Ravens for kind of keeping that one under wraps because Jair Alexander was in the building, signed the contract, and then the breaking news ended up coming out. In today's day and age, that type of shit doesn't happen. Now, I'm recording this video on Thursday, and I need you to keep that in mind because I got some really big information, and it's going to be some big breaking news. I'm going to put that video out on Friday. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. It's going to be something that you're not going to want to miss. I promise you that. But I also think there is certain things that teams are able to keep away from other teams and keep away from the media, just like the Ravens did. But I also think Jair going to Baltimore, his connection with Lamar Jackson, it's a great, great fit because he's going to be motivated. He's going to go out and do his thing. And they got him for $6 million. If you would have told me Jair Alexander was going to cost $6 million, I would have made a lot different shows. I would have said, let's go get freaking Jair Alexander. If you're looking for more mailbags because you appreciate the back and forth that we have here on this YouTube channel, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure those notices are turned on. Let's go to LV for life. What up, man? What would have to happen for the Raiders to bench Geno this season? An injury? I actually don't think that there is a realm of possibility. Well, I guess that's not true. I mean, if the Raiders haven't won a game by the bye week, right? So bye week's week 8. If the Raiders lose to the Patriots, you lose to the Chargers, the Commanders, the Bears, Colts, Titans, Chiefs, and you start out 0-7, I think that then there will be a discussion around whether or not they should bench him. But I think also, though, the Raiders know what the type of contract they gave Geno, and I think they want to just allow him to continue to do his thing. The other problem is, though, you bench a guy because you're hopeful that the guy behind him is better. It's not a disrespect to Aiden O'Connell. It's just, again, it's not even in the same realm of possibility. I would say people who think that Aiden O'Connell is going to replace Geno Smith probably also think that Sincere McCormick is going to replace Ashton Genty. Geno's not Ashton Genty. I'll say that. Let's go to Luis Ra. What's up, my man? It's good to see you again. Mitch, where do you think our O-line lands out of the 32 teams? I think you have to look at it actually in two different ways. I think you can look at it from a starter standpoint where the Raiders starting offensive line right now, I would say Colt Miller, Dylan Parham, JPJ, Alex Kappa, DJ Glaze. To me, that's probably like the 16th, 17th best offensive line in the National Football League. Brand new offensive line, brand new OC, a lot of guys that are still getting some chemistry in. But in terms of overall depth, I think the Raiders do have like maybe the 12th, 13th best O-line because I do have confidence in Jordan Meredith. I do really love the fact that the Raiders are putting Thayer Munford at guard. I also know that I like Charles Grant, and I like somebody along the lines of, Charles Grant and Caleb Rogers, where we have good, solid depth. And I don't think we're going to get into an opportunity where if one of our offensive linemen goes down, we're going to oh, shit, like this guy stinks. I think we legitimately have 8 solid offensive linemen, which not every single NFL team can say. We got more questions coming up here in just a moment. And if you want to be able to pick me up like Luis picks up, I'm hoping that's your kid, Luis. If you're just picking up random kids, I wouldn't put a picture around it. But if you want to be able to pick me up that easily, go get some muscles with Panda Sups. PandaSups.com. Use code Raiders for 20% off. They got some brand new protein. Chugs, can you give me that horn? Because I don't know about you, I am fired up for some Panda Sups brand new protein. And I think you guys will be too. We got peanut butter cookies, chocolate brownie whip, toasted honey graham, 25 grams of protein, 100% pure whey isolate, 0 grams of sugar, 110 to 120 calories per scoop. And for a limited time, when you spend $125, you're going to get free creatine and free shipping. Treat yourself to the same delicious, high-quality fuel that you're obsessed with from Panda Sups. Now in 3 amazing new flavors, and it's that all-new ISO protein. Panda Sups Fuel ISO Premium Protein, fast-absorbing. when you're getting a workout in, you want to get the most out of your workout, and this protein is what I am really going to try to get my hands on before my honeymoon. Let's go to Rebel Montana. Rebel Montana. Restructure Wilkins' contract if he's unable to play. I don't think that this is actually an impossible thing, and this is going to be something that obviously the Raiders are going to monitor very closely. And when it comes to Wilkins, the hope is that he's going to be able to play this season. But there's been a lot of rumors, there's been a lot of speculation of how healthy, that foot is. And I've been putting out a lot of videos around, the health of him. And it's going to be one of those things that we're going to have to monitor, and we'll see what ends up happening. But I am nervous about the Christian Wilkins situation. I'll tell you that right now. What up, Righteous Rancor? Are you more excited for Ashton Genty or year 2 of Brock Bowers? I am more excited for Ashton Genty because I've already seen it from Brock, and I already know what Brock can be. I'll be real with you. I don't know if Bowers is going to put up the numbers that he did from like a fantasy football standpoint last season. I don't know if he's going to do that again this year because I just think we have more mouths to feed. But I'm excited to see Genty because I do really think that he can be a top 5 running back in the NFL. And when you combine Genty, when you combine Brock Bowers, I'm excited to watch JPJ. But I'll go with Genty. But it's a good problem to have. I think we can all agree on that. Let's go to Silver and Blacked Out. I love this name, and I don't know if you made it because of me. Would you sign Keenan Allen if it's super cheap? Heard the rookie wide receiver have looked good. The reason why I actually don't know if Keenan Allen is on the Raiders' radar is because of how good the receivers have looked for the Silver and Black. Trey Tucker has taken a step forward, and I'm telling y'all right now, I have heard from multiple Raiders players, and I've covered it this offseason. Trey Tucker looks like he's taken that next step, and I'm hoping that Tucker turns into like a Tyler Lockett type of player. Then Dante Thornton Jr. he looks like we might have got one, and I don't want to jinx it because I'm like super nervous about it. But if Dante Thornton Jr. pans out and turns out to be a guy that some of these people that I talk to are telling me this guy's the real deal, that excites me a lot. They like Tommy a lot. You got Jacoby Myers. I would say at this point, if the Raiders went out and signed Keenan Allen, it might tell me a little bit more about what they think long-term for somebody like Jacoby Myers, because Allen does have a lot of those coaching connections with the Raiders wide receiver coach, Chris Beatty, because they spent multiple years together in Chicago and with the Chargers. Let's go to Emmanuel Sanchez. What's up, my man? Has AB been caught? It's fun. I shouldn't say it's funny. I shouldn't say that. We were talking about this at Chat Sports today, and we're like, is AB on the run? Sounds like AB's on the run. And it's been a while since I've been able to say FAB, but I mean this. I am forever FAB. I think the world would be Twitter might be a little bit more of a sad place without the account, but I think the world would be a much better and safer place if he was caught. Let's go to Raider Nation for Life XX. I saw the UFL video. What about DeAndre Baker? So yesterday I did a video around some potential UFL targets for Las Vegas, and I just did it like based on team needs. And 2 names that people were like, Mitch, I didn't see Damon Arnette's name in there. Mitch, I didn't see DeAndre Baker's name in there. Here's my question to you, because I like this one a lot. Should the Raiders go out and sign DeAndre Baker? Type S for sign, type P for pass. You're going to get hit with another YouTube ad break while that ad is playing. Scroll on down, give me your answer. I'm going to give you mine here in just a moment. The reason why I'll say pass on Baker is just because of the drama. Now, there is a coaching connection, and I don't know if you're asking this question because you know that coaching connection or you recognize DeAndre Baker, Kansas City Chiefs, and he had a good year this past year in the UFL. What's interesting is Baker was a draft pick by Patrick Graham when he was the defensive coordinator for the New York Giants. So PG obviously saw something in Baker coming out of Georgia, and they were like, hey, this is a guy that we like a lot. He's just a little bit of a knucklehead. And I would say that if you are against the idea of getting Damon Arnette, you should also be against the idea of getting DeAndre Baker. Personally, I'll say pass. Let's go to Caleb Tarr. Which defense will be tougher for Geno, Genty, and our wide receivers to beat this year? I think this is actually an old question, but we'll go with it. Chiefs, Chargers, or Denver? So I think that Denver is just the best overall defense. So because of that, I'll say the Broncos. And then I do think that the Chargers and Chiefs, I could split hairs on both of these guys. But I'll just go with, because Pete Carroll has owned Harbaugh in his career, I believe. Give me Denver, Kansas City, and then the Chargers. Let's go to Dalroy Rogers. I was for a Ruggs return before I saw his comment. Ruggs' remorse was too self-centered. Not enough remorse for victim's family. Keep out of the NFL. I don't want to pick apart the quote. I just look at it as it's a really unfortunate situation, and I can't imagine how guilty he does feel. I literally can't imagine it. But I think when you talk about the Henry Ruggs situation, I literally think it comes down to as simple as if the Tinter family is okay with him playing in the NFL, who the F are we to say that he doesn't deserve another shot? If the Tinter family says, no, I don't think Henry Ruggs deserves to be in the NFL again, I'm not going to disagree with them for that. Because if I lost a family member the way that they did, I'm not going to lie to you, I feel like I would feel the exact same damn way. Let's go to Patrick Roche. What's up, my man? What is our next deadliest spot on defense to fill? Maybe Jonathan Abram is the biggest bust. Abram definitely cracks my top 5, no doubt about it. When you're drafted 27th overall, and I think the biggest thing that he contributed to the Raiders was he called Salmon or Salmon. That was literally it from Hard Knocks. I think that free safety is the biggest need for this team, and I just think in general, like, the secondary needs some help. Whether that be nickel, whether that, just be a safety. Because to me, if the Raiders wanted to go about a way of finding a nickel back a little bit easier, you go out and you get a guy like Justin Simmons, let him play free safety, and then you allow Isaiah Palamau to play like that versatile safety role, and that's like the role that I want Palamau to play. Like, I don't want him to be dropping back as our center fielder. I think the best value that you're going to get from Palamau is when he is near the box, when he's kind of playing in that nickel, and he can do a lot of different things, versatility. And like, that to me is a lot better of defense, where if you told me it's Eric Stokes, Darian Porter, Palamau's playing this nickel safety role that Patrick Graham has done such a great job of his entire career, you let Justin Simmons play free safety, you let Jeremy Chin play strong safety, like, that is a defense that I think is much better than what we currently have right now. Like, right now I think the Raiders have probably a bottom, I don't want to say bottom 10 defense, but they're probably around a bottom 10 defense because of that secondary. I think we have an elite defensive line when healthy. But our secondary is concerning, and I'm just telling you that right now. It's concerning. And I don't want this to be like, oh, you're just hating. It kind of reminds me a little bit where Raiders fans were hopeful that Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew, we were hoping that those quarterbacks were going to be enough to get it done because we had such a good defense. I look at that, hopeful, blinders on, is very similar to this Raiders secondary right now, where you look at it on paper and you're going, I don't know how the hell this secondary is going to be able to get it done. And I don't really want to put on my blinders again this season. If I did not get to your question, I apologize. Blame Chugs. You can always hit me up on IG or on Twitter. I'm at MitchellRents365, and I mean this. Please, 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 if I do not get to your questions in the offseason, I do get a little bit more of extra time this part of the year to go through and look at DMs. Who you got? Oklahoma City Thunder. Indiana Pacers. Game 6 tonight. If the Thunder win it, they win it all. I want the Pacers to win because I want a Game 7, but I do think the Thunder close it out tonight.
Thunder.
Yoda Jenkins going to go with the Pacers. Benjamin, diehard OKC. Bad Driver is going to go with the Pacers. Blinky's going to go with the Thunder. Emmanuel Sanchez. And is Halliburton playing from Green?
Yes.
He's playing. I knew he was questionable.
But he's Hoyt.
He is hurt.
He's Hoyt.
He is Hoyt.
He's Hoyt bad.
It's really, really bad.
He's Hoyt bad.
All right, my man. We have one more opportunity. Brian Baca, I just got you in the duck race. Brian Baca, I got you in. 10 to win, as it stands right now, $135 here on the Raiders Report. We're about to do the duck race. Do you want me to send you...
I got it.
I'll say, if you could just climb in there.
Slurp.
You in. Career high on one leg. Book it. I hope so. I think Game 7s are so electric, and because I do honestly think that the Thunder are going to win this series, when a team wins on their home court, like, imagine you win for the first time in your history, which the Thunder have never won a title. I get the Supersonics have. But to be able to win a title on your home court for technically the first time ever, that would be so much fun. Like, I actually also would be curious to see what the ticket prices would be. Like, I actually think that the Thunder games haven't been all that pricey.
No. Well, and it's been like one of the least watched
that's
finals.
True. Patrick B, I got you in.
Which kind of goes to prove, like, all those people who were, oh my God, I'm so tired of watching the Cavs and the Warriors, like, da-da-da. Statistically, we want that. Those are some of the more watched finals.
Patrick B, I got you in twice. Mark Call, I got you in. 10 to win, $150 here on today's show. Live Oak, I'm sorry to hear that, man. I am deeply, deeply upset to hear that. Richard Engel, you, sir, are getting in. So for those of you that do not know, the final thing that we will do today on today's show is we're going to do a duck race, which is a $10 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365, and somebody's going to go home with, right now as it stands, $155 here on today's show. Good luck to all of y'all. Good luck to all of y'all.
Anthony, are they, though?
What?
Anthony said everyone on the East Coast is watching the finals. I don't think so.
I'll say this: the numbers prove that that's not true. This is literally one of the lowest watched NBA finals of all time. Not all time, but definitely recently.
I think
maybe it is all time.
I think it's said since like 2010.
Kamar Ballentine in. Kamar Ball. In. It's probably rigged. You're not wrong. Mitch, heard Matt Judon might be a thing for the defense, especially with Wilkins hurt, to help the line. Would you sign him? To me, the player that I think that the Raiders would sign if Wilkins is hurt is Jadeveon Clowney. And I say that because I think the Raiders like what they have in terms of a guy like John Olalu and Lecky Fotu to be like that big defensive tackle. Adam Butler's going to have to step up here a little bit more. But they like guys with relationships, and they like tweeners as well. And Clowney fits that tweener mold, and he was really good with Carroll in 2019. So I actually think that if the Raiders added a defensive lineman at this point, I believe it would be Jadeveon Clowney. But again, I'm not saying that like I'm hearing that from sources. It's just my opinion. But it's also my opinion of like what I would do. I would go out and get Clowney. Oh, Emmanuel Sanchez, worst trade the Raiders have ever made. Worst trade the Raiders have ever made. I mean, I'm not going to lie. The first two that popped up into my head right now were Antonio Brown, Martavis Bryant were literally like the first two that just came into my mind. But that's, again, me just doing this show. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the worst trade of all time is probably Randy Moss. For the Raiders, Khalil Mack's got to be up there as well. Yeah, because, I mean, what, you traded Khalil, and what you got in return was a bunch of garbage, realistically. Yeah. I would say AB's got to be up there. I think Khalil Mack's got to be up there. And, I think Randy Moss is going to be up there. And I get Moss was shitty for the Raiders, but for him to do what he was doing for the Raiders and then go do it with what he did in New England, that's a huge kick in the nuts. Oh, man, we got a lot of Puss in Boots. A lot of Puss in Boots. And I don't have anybody else in. No other names,
right?
No other names are in.
Savannah Mente.
Yep. Savannah Mente. All right, winner goes home with $165. In 3, 2.
Wait. Look at the trees in the background. They're little fishies.
Oh, wow, they are. 1. Meow. Oh, my God. There's really a ball of yarn.
Meow.
This is unbelievable.
Meow.
Does anybody have a pet cat? I feel like...
I'm allergic.
Are you really?
To some cats, I don't know which one, but
I sound like Coop right now. I'm allergic to tomatoes.
No, I
just don't like them.
Like, I can be around cats, but just like if I don't know what exact breeds I'm like allergic to, but if I am, I'll just get like stuffy nose, itchy eyes, and I'll just get like start sneezing.
I mean, this is kind of a creepy race. I'm not gonna lie to you. Do they ever get the ball of yarn? Quite frankly,
I think the winner does.
The winner does? I mean, Raspberry actually looks like a raspberry cat.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild.
You know,
Anthony Green looks like Rufus from Kim Possible. Chad Howard just keeps on going. Suavemente kind of looks like Chuck. Kind of root for the Swab. Somebody make a move. It's going to be Soldier Man. I'll tell you this. If that was Chuck, no chance he's sitting there for that ball. No chance. All right, Soldier Man. Up in that O. While you crank it, while we go. I don't even know if those are the words to the Soldier Man. Soldier Man. All right, man. Can you please confirm down below that you just received $165 here on the Raiders Report? Would greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it. All right, y'all. That is all I got for you on today's episode of the Raiders Report. I hope everyone had a fun day today. Had a lot of good, interesting talking points. Had a lot of legends in Bayou, Richard Black, Patrick Roche, Fabian Moreno. You know, I mean this. You guys are on an absolute tear right now, and I'm going to tear up tomorrow. Raiders, Broncos, technically Thursday Night Football, on Friday, happy hour. We're going to start the show at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. I got to start tomorrow's show with a boot because y'all are some crazy mother effers out there. But I mean this. Tomorrow's going to be a fun day. I think any day that I get to get my weekend started the right way with the nation, I greatly, greatly appreciate it. And also, you have to remember this. I am going to be putting out a video early tomorrow morning, and it is major Raiders news. I'm getting more information. As soon as I get off of this show, I got to hop on a few other calls here, and I got to get some more. I promise you, though. And I'm not, you're going to watch tomorrow's video, and you're going to go, holy shit, that's major news. So hit that subscribe button. Turn on those notifications. That video will be coming out to you bright and early tomorrow here on the Raiders Report.